Okay, yeah, we back with another 24-hour trades. Just picking up back what I was on last night, uh, which is this back testing. We're gonna call this video 2 of this series here. Just testing out this new strategy, and yeah. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just bump right into this daily here. Um, Couple different things. So biggest thing going on with this right here, hold on. So this is very similar to like what I was talking about with the 4 hour here. Um, Previously, if you saw yesterday, if you haven't, go ahead and go watch that. Um, but this, if I draw this up right here, this isn't really leaving us much room for, it's like 230 points, which isn't bad for like the range. But whenever we get into these zones here, that doesn't have like a real solid like something clear for like the build up of like structure area. I like to bump down onto like those lower time frames so we can kind of take a look and see like what's actually going on onto those lower time frames there. So we'll go ahead and take a look into that and see what we look like on the 4 hour. Okay, so biggest thing, we're still kind of looking at this same like range that we were previously on before, because here's like our initial push, and then you can see here we're having like some sort of like we had our pullback here, so it's possible now that we could get some continuation up to this daily, depending on how we're acting on like these lower time frames here. You could draw up like some sort of like support zone here and say like, oh yeah, well, what about this zone here, right? But the thing is that we don't know what that looks like on. We don't know what that looks like on the hourly perspective, so we can't really make any assumptions of what the more detailed version of this would look like below. So we'll pop in and see what it's doing. So, biggest thing to look at here on this hourly, right? So we had our push down, right? Because here was like our initial push, right, that we had, and then we came up here, and this is basically the whole push that we're having. So there's two different ways that price could react to this area. Just looking at buys mostly. So we could get some continuation to up here to the 4 hour or potentially higher to the daily zone, is kind of what I'm looking at here. Just because for price to come back down here, I don't think we'll get trapped in this area. It's possible, but I think it's unlikely, just because we're making, higher highs and oops. Anyways, you get the idea. So we're making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then here's our higher low, right? It didn't break this area, so there's no reason to start to think that we'd be moving bearish, especially how we formed here. We came down and then we broke back above what this push would be here. So we're looking at retest here for continuation, potentially for our little 100-point range here back up to this 4 hour zone. Okay, so anyways, I kind of played price out. 5 o'clock was right here, so we kind of played out this zone here. One thing that price candles form like a little bit weird, but I do like to see kind of like that bearish formation and then followed by two bullish candles. It was just some sort of like variation. It could be the opposite, like a bullish candle followed by two bearish for continuation down. We did break above like whatever this little resistance, little minor resistance, I guess, that we had. So we'll go ahead and just play out the price and see kind of what we would have here for this type of entry. And it took a while to get there, but eventually we did get to here for our entry, right? And then we'll go ahead and place this. We'll go 100x, and let's see. Yeah, biggest thing with this, honestly, probably just take full profits at 100. We'll see how price plays out though. Yeah, so full take profit right there at 100, smooth 4%. Just because we do, the 4 hour could be used as like some sort of resistance. We don't know yet, even though we're moving pretty bearish. Bullish. The biggest thing is, with something like this, like I could see, the potential for continuation up to like a next area, right? So if I were to want it to be like a little bit more risky with this, I could say like, hey, I want to let my profits run out, which in that case, I would say like we'll take it to this daily. But the thing is that that's assuming that we're gonna break above the 4 hour, which we haven't done yet, and then continue up to that next daily area. So playing out something like that is pretty risky, because you're making a lot of assumptions to say like, hey, we're gonna get to this next area, right? And for something like this, I'd probably take like 240. That's almost 20 points away from that daily, just because we wouldn't know. But if we went ahead and played the price out, just to see like what would have happened here, we can see that, yeah, price just wasn't ready for anything like that. So this is like multiple hours into the day. Yeah, so I would say it was pretty good analysis on our part, just to take it out to that 4 hour, and just be happy with that. This is asking for a bit much. There's days like that for sure, but this just wasn't one of them. Okay, so overall, looking at this daily, we have another zone drawn up here. Biggest thing that we're looking at now, so we're approaching like our next zone. So I think it's important, hold on. Anyways, so I think it's important that we add up this next area up here, even though it's quite a ways away, around like 36,000, right? So you start to notice like we're just marking off like the bigger, the even areas. So you have 36,000, 35,000, 34,000. These are like our major areas where we're having like our support, right? This is right around like 32,000 for our low. So that's what we're starting to mark up, but we're getting pretty close onto this next daily area here. Looks like we're only about 200 points away, which isn't that much. We can get that in like a single 4 hour candle. But the one thing that we look at, for at least from a daily perspective, is we never came back and retested that area below the 34,000. So it's potential that we could get something like that for price to come back down and just do a retest on it. But that's something that might take like a week to form and play out. But it's just something to keep in mind as we like go into it. But as of now, we're looking pretty bullish. We had like one candle form as like bearish here, but then we immediately came back down to we just immediately engulfed that on the next candle there. So something important to notice for this 4 hour here, so we're creating some sort of like new push here. So if we go ahead and see like this is our push, and now we're starting to come back down, so I could definitely see us actually come back down. This is a pretty strong bearish engulfing pattern right here. Like we engulf like 4 candles, so we could get some continuation back down onto like potential some area of like support here. Even if we look at the original push, right? So here was our range, like right here, and we closed above, but then we just broke back below that area with a very strong candle. So we push above, but just looking at it from that area. So one thing that I really want to look at here, that I'm noticing, so we're pretty far away from like any level of like actual structure, right? biggest thing that I'm noticing here, so pretty much like we have two bigger like begins to a push, right? We have one here from this zip area, which we took down to this wick. I readjusted the area because that's where the 4 hour was, but I adjusted to here on the hourly. We also have this zone right here, which was the beginning of the push, which when we broke out, we didn't really get a strong retest. So if we can hold right here, it's possible that we could actually have some continuation back up. Still moving pretty bearish, I would say, on as far as like these hourly candles go. So it's potential that we could just break back below and get that continuation down to here. But it's nice to have this zone drawn up just to see what's going on. We did have like one wick on it, as like, hey, you know, we're not ready to break out of this yet. So it's potential that we could just get some continuation up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play out this 1 minute and see kind of what price is giving us. And so this is like almost like that V pattern here, right? That we were looking at in the past, but you have this V here, so possible continuation up. So we could have something like this with entries on this breakout candle, right? 50-50. And we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, we love that. So yeah, kind of figured that we might get stopped on that just because of how bearish price was acting. So we probably should have looked towards potentially taking some sells on that and for continuation down to the next area. But we'll look into that like on our, you know, our next day here. So anyways, coming back to the daily, this just became my new area of resistance for daily. Very strong bearish candle that just engulfed all these here. It's possible that we could just end up playing around this zone here, or get some continuation back down to retest on the previous resistance area. Okay, and this was that original push that I was talking about here. So here was yesterday, right, when it pushed, and then we did get that retracement back down to the same area. So now we're playing in this range. So if we can hold here, now we get something like this, right? Until we break out like either way. So we'll look into that as we get into this hourly. So the hourly starting to tell a different story here. Kind of what we're looking at here. So there's two different entries that I'll be looking at taking. Either we get some continuation to the hourly and then fall back down to 4 hour, or bounce off of like 4 hour for continuation back up to this like hourly zone right here, because this was kind of like the initial of like this push that we're on right now, for playing around in this zone. But I think we're most likely to sell off right now, just because we're kind of just retracing a bit from this push here that we had. So yeah, looking at this is like a resistance to everything. So go ahead and play out this 1 minute here, see what we got. Having some issues getting to these areas, right? Yeah, So just no entries for this day, because we couldn't really test or tap on any of these areas that we're interested in. So we get days like that too. Cool. And I just wanted to show this. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because we had news at 5:30, durable goods, unemployment claims. 6 o'clock came around. We have FOMC, flash PMI, President Biden speaking at 10:30, natural gas at 7:30. So this day was just like all over the place, right? So no solid moves. That's why we got that big giant spike on this day. Okay, now you're starting to wonder like what the heck's going on here, right? Just got a bunch of like madness. Honestly, this is just price creating that that order build up after we just like the different phases of the market. I think it's like accumulation, sell off, or accumulation, buy up, build up, sell off, or something like that. But anyways, this is just creating that little accumulation / build up phase here before price breaks out one direction or another. It's just a fancy way of saying consolidation, honestly, though. So anyways, okay, so here's my thought process. We still need to touch on the daily. We are currently, this is about 100 points away, playing around in this zone here. This is our next level all the way down here on the daily, or on the push that we had. So we had to push up and then came down, clearing up that clear traffic that we just had from that move, and potentially get some continuation up onto this daily level here. It looks like I drew it a little bit low, but you get the idea. So yeah, so as far as this hourly goes, right, we are really close to daily. I don't really like the range too much that we're getting. Like, it's only like 98 points up to that next zone. So, and that's if we get retest back here, then we could take buys up to that area. But then I'd also be looking at the potential for sell-offs there too, because it's a Friday, so I don't think that we could break that daily area on it. But we'll see how this is going, because we are moving pretty bullish, so it makes me want to take buys. But we will see kind of what it does on the lower time frames here. So on this one, just to kind of extend out the daily, we had an entry right here on a pretty strong engulfing candle. After we tapped on this, we did end up getting stopped out on this, just short of pretty early on the move is kind of what happened here, because we did end up getting that push that we were looking for, but not until like 7:08. So I mean, it happens. So okay, so we can see on this daily here, couldn't quite break that daily level that we wanted to. So it's potential that we could reject off this coming onto the Monday and get some continuation downwards from there. So we'll see. Okay, so looking at this closing on the 4-hour here, we did close like right on the daily. So it's kind of like, what do we do here? So I think the hourly is going to be like our key here towards what we're doing. It looks like we could be starting off on like another push, potentially, at least for some possible continuation. Maybe like 150 points, something like that, above. But our next like major area of resistance, gosh, this is really hard. But yeah, so the biggest thing is like we might just get some continuation up here. Hopefully we just get some rejections out, because I think that would be easier for us to kind of predict whatever zones that we're gonna be at here. It's always hard when we break out of these type of areas, but I guess that would be our next zone up there, which is quite a ways, honestly. So we'll see. We'll pop down onto this hourly and see like what it's gonna give us. Some sell-offs would definitely be easier for zones. Okay, so real hard to detect what's going on with this this hourly here, right? So biggest thing is we did break above daily. We broke above this zone here. We broke above this zone here. Moving bullish, right? Biggest thing that we want to see is some retest on this daily. If we can't get that, we won't be taking any entries. I'm only looking at into buying opportunities. So either off this zone here, potentially off a little bit lower, and then continuing up from there. But the reason I drew it up to here is this is like the closest like wick area type that we have. So I think this could be used as like a level of resistance before continuing up. It's really hard to detect in these zones like what exactly where you're going to be at without going into the past and looking at some of those areas of interest. So we'll see what the lower time frame is going to give us here. So let's go ahead and get into this. We'll go ahead and play this out. Again, I'm only looking for taps. All right, so bit risky on this one here, but I like how that candle's forming. Honestly, I don't want to take too much of like a risk on my stop loss just for this one. So we'd probably keep it right around 30 to see where we're gonna go. 30 is just below both of these two areas here. If we continue to break below that, I don't want it. So not too bad. We'll see what's going on. This is some nice bullish variation here. Pattern right around the daily. This is what we're looking at. And then obviously to 50 for break even, right? So let's go ahead and see what we got. Go ahead and play this out. And we would have got stopped. So cool. Yeah. Stop. Yeah, we'll see if we can get a better day. So finally getting some continuation up on this daily level here. You can notice that we're just starting to break right into like this 35,000 right here. So this is gonna be a pretty interesting area to see kind of how price reacts. I think that we can get some retest on this daily before continuing up. Next area of interest is right around like 36,000 for at least for the daily goes, but we're moving pretty bullish right now. So we'll have to wait and see what formations we get for the hourly, because as of right now we're just creating like a new level from where we previously were. We have two different zones that we can look at here for the 4 hour. The most recent one being here before beginning this push, and then this daily level here for like our resistance, about 200 points away from that. But if we can get some like retracing and like retaps on that area, would be lovely, because then we could take buys back up to the next level right here. So no real end in sight for this one. We're pretty much just like taking off right here, right? That's the biggest thing, at least for where we're at right now. I think like if we don't start to get anything, we might look at like pulling some data from like earlier times. Might be a good idea as well whenever we get into these zones here. But unless we can start to retest on like one of these areas, we don't really have any entry opportunities for this. Yeah, and this was our 1 minute here. We never really had any opportunity for entries. Price just kind of like ran off on us, moving pretty bullish. Never really touched any of our areas of interest. So yeah. Yeah, and this was Jolt too. Jolt job openings. I hate trading Jolt. That's probably why we didn't get any moves. Jolt's always moves super weird for me. I don't know if anybody else experiences that, but I hate Jolt. So taking a look at the daily for the next, this is starting to look like our new range here, right? So we have taps here, pretty strong support zone, and then our next area above here is what we're looking at. So we'll kind of pop into here and see what we're doing. Okay, so 4 hour, this is the range that we're playing around in here. Pretty large, but that's kind of how we like to keep it, at least as far as the 4 hour goes. So this is the range that we're going to be playing around in here. Just starting to build up like some sort of support area. So it's potential that we could take some cells off this zone here and get some continuation down to like our next area of like support, or at least retest off of what this was here when we had like our initial push down to what's now like our daily support level. So you can see here we pushed down here. We kind of played around in this zone for a little bit before breaking, and then now creating what will be I think our next zone. So we could at least get some continuation down to here potentially, but we'll see kind of how price decides to play out. So moving on to this hourly here, kind of what I want to see is something like this, where we get some continuation up to this zone, and then fall back down to this area before potentially continuing up here. But this is like our push zone. It's about I don't even know what the difference is here. That looks like a 300 point range. So we're about 100 points away from like our next area of actual like interest here. But we're moving pretty bearish. So if we get some wicks that would continue us up into the, if we get like a wick on this that continue us down to here, that would be fantastic. Okay, so popping down onto this 1 minute here, we'll kind of go ahead and let price play out so we can get to like one of these zones here. And let's see what happens. So we have price come up. Okay, so let's see what time it is, because if it's past 7, then we wouldn't be taking anything. It's like 6:55, so kind of close. Honestly, so here's your bearish variation, right above like this hourly area that we're looking at taking. So we'll go ahead and open up a short position here with 50-50, and we'll go ahead and let price play out. Ooh. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Anyways, so got like super close again, stopped out here. That's like literally like a point difference, right? So that would have been our entry. And we'd go 3,200. And honestly, with this one, normally I would probably take it down to like this area here. But since we have like such a strong area of support like right here, my overall projections for something like this would probably look more like 100 to 30. And then we'd probably take this, here's like 170, so it'd probably take like 160 would be good. Maybe even like 150 would be solid for something like this. For overall movements, 150 feels right. And then we go ahead and play this out. So there is 100. And then we go ahead and move this. Oops. Like I said, it's really hard to get these lined up. But we smacked the 100 there, still at break even. We'll go ahead and play this out. And what's going on? I might have even pulled it out like a little earlier once we started tapping into this area again. But for the sake of this, we'll go ahead and like let it run, right? And that's where we would have taken profit. So that was a very long trade. Like we almost got into that for, wow, what would have been multiple hours. And entry over here was like 6 something, exit was like 10. So that's like a 4-hour long trade. That's pretty long compared to like a lot of what we would have taken. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so popping back to the daily, we might have our first like, let me see. That's about a 500 point range. We might have like our first resistance from the push, but it's kind of too early to say until we get like another bearish candle or something like that for confirmations. So we'll take a look and see on the lower time frame what it looks like. So taking a look at this 4-hour, we have the same zones that we had previously. Honestly, it's starting to look like we could get some continuation down to tap on like one of these lower areas of now support. It just makes sense if we could get something like that. We'll see how it closes. I would like to see some rejections here on this 4-hour potentially, but we'll pop down onto the hour and see what the structure looks like there too. So honestly, for the hourly, we're moving pretty bearish. I would say that our range could be something like this. Oh shoot, we'll try and do this. Our range could be something like this for playing around. Honestly, I see more like bearish movement than anything. So either there's a couple different ways that this could go. Something like this, continuation down. We get some rejections here for continuations, play around in this range. It's kind of what I'll be looking at here for this hourly time frame. So we'll see what we get. Pretty close to both of these zones, so I could see the possibility for each. But we're definitely moving for the most part bearish. So okay, so popping onto this 1 hour here, go ahead and move forward a bit just to see if we can get around one of these zones. And boom. Okay, so we're playing around one of these zones, and like I said, I'm looking at taking some sell-offs here, potentially just a little further down below. Honestly, with something like this, I would like to take it down to the 4-hour if possible, but the issue here that you start to see is that we have like a lot of interruption in the way here, because we're kind of moving against the overall direction of where the market has been kind of heading, because we're making higher highs and higher lows on these zones here. So I think 100 points overall take profit would be good if we can find some entries here. So we'll see. And boom, yeah. So probably take an entry on something like this. Normally I don't do like the whole break thing, and then stops just above the structure area, but normally I don't do the whole break thing. Oh geez, this is not looking good for us. Oof. So yeah, tough one here. Honestly, better entries probably would have been on something like this. I could see, potential there. I wouldn't take any re-entries off of it, but maybe some better entries there. Yeah. So we were just early. I think where we messed up was this. So you can see here we didn't even tap on the hourly. So that goes against the rules. So I mean, I could just scratch this honestly, but I won't, just because we're kind of back testing. But overall, yeah, we do need to have those tests we need at least 2 taps, 2 touches on the zone that we're looking at, before we look at taking any sort of rejections off the area, and that's just 2 touches from like any candle. So I mean, entries could have been like something like this. Probably still would have still gotten stopped out on that, but instead we took it here. So we'll go ahead and see how this one plays out, just to see if this would have been like a more solid entry. And let's see, this one would have been like 3200, and like I said, we would have taken full profits at 100 like there. So yeah, something a little bit better there for entry wise. So anyways, I think that'll be good for this specific video. It looks like on this go round, what did we take before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. Cool, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was on the 21st. And then this one we took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we squeezed in some more this time in a shorter video. I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit more, so but not too bad. If we took out if we kept the last trade that we took for better entries, then it would have been something like up on the account 16.2%, which would have beaten like any of the type of style like funded challenges, which is the ultimate goal. And that's kind of how I marked it. But let's say we didn't, and we took it like for like a re-entry, then we'd be at like 14.2% for something like this, just for re-entries. So not too bad. I would say that overall win percentage 55.5%, which I'm not really too concerned with the win percentage. We're just concerned with like the actual percentage of loss versus wins, and the wins kind of like outweigh the total loss percentages. So not too bad. We'll see kind of how like the rest of the back test goes. We only got like another like week and a half that we can even back test until we're up to like current time. But overall, we'll see how the rest of the back test goes. We'll just keep playing around with this, and yeah, see how it goes. So this was video 2 of the series. Once we go through, once we get done with the whole back test as a whole, then we'll, or at least the series, then we'll go through and kind of analyze what mistakes were made, what we could have done better, and get some improvement on that. And then we'll probably just be back to live trading again. So anyways, this has been super fun. I enjoyed myself. Hopefully you guys took some knowledge out of this as well. Anyways, it's been great. Peace and love. Deuces.